colder. And then say later today, I will be down in field. And then if the skiing really warms up, I might come back and ski a bit more. I have to just expose my nose just a little bit despite the cold. Hi, Jane. And that is because otherwise my goggles get all foggy. And you don't want that to happen, do you? Because then you run into stuff. So, lovely to have you all here. If you haven't met me by chance, my name is Patrick Toomey, and I live 52 kilometers. Well, probably 55 kilometers, really, because it's 3 kilometers down to the bottom. And that's where I live from here in the town of Banff. I am at Lake Louise Ski Resort, one of the biggest ski resorts the biggest one in the Rockies and one of the biggest ones in the world. And we're just coming in. So I'll show you what it's like. I won't be able to see. We're just coming into our arrival up here. Now, generally, when I get to the top here, I can walk about 20 paces and then I lose my reception. So I have to stick in quite a close little area. If I were to cut out for a second or two, don't worry, I would be back to you, no problem. But here we are, toasty warm. Well, I'm bundled up as best I can, but I don't know if they have a temperature dial out here, but it is cold. I just have to put everything together for 1 second. There we go. There's my skis. So, have a look. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is not actually the lift at the top of the world. Thank you there. Now, I do have slightly fuzzy goggles, so, oops. Hold on 1 sec, everyone. I'll just get my skis down here, and then we can get ready and go skiing. So, ta-da, there we go. So, now, here's my skis, but I just thought I'm going to take you for a little walk around just for a minute, and then we'll go skiing. How's that sound? So we're looking over at the back of the ski hill. You love that click, isn't it? Well, so one of these days, I want to come and take you to this far mountain down the back, because that is Larch Mountain down there, and it does erupt with color in the fall. But that chair that's up there at the top third of it, I get reception. But down in the valley, I don't get it. And so it has to be one of the good powder days, because I can actually leave the ski resort boundaries and hike up the back up there. So that's a fun thing to do. But this is the ptarmigan chair. Have I ever told you the fun story about ptarmigan? Because if you go to Dawson City in Yukon, then you drive over the top of the World Highway, which is the biggest or the most northerly border crossing in North America. You go over that border and you get into Alaska. Suddenly the road is unpaved. And the first and only community you come to on the unpaved section is a place called Chicken, Alaska. And Chicken, Alaska has a population, it says at the welcome to the town, it says home to 26 nice people and one old grump. But the story about Chicken is that miners came there and they found a lot of gold, of course, during the gold rush. And they said, what are we going to name our new mining town? And someone said, well, there's this big fat bird running around everywhere. I said, Bill says it's called a ptarmigan. I said, well, how do you spell that? They're like, I don't know. Let's call it Chicken. And that's the origin of the name. But if you see the runs down here, you see the red is a name of a chair. We don't have red runs like they do in Europe. So we have green, which is the easy one, and that's pika. Pika are very interesting animals. I want to tell you about them. And then blue is intermediate, black, and there's double black, and there's even triple black runs as well, which are great fun. But the pikas they look like a mouse. We have no rats in Alberta whatsoever. They look like a mouse, and they have a little round ear on them, and they have a lovely, gorgeous little chirp. But what's so interesting about pikas, they're studied all the time by scientists because they hibernate, and they hibernate in a range of about 1,800 meters to 2,000 meters. Well, they keep moving up the mountains, and that is indicative of the changing climate. So, if you're, hey, Pete, so for everyone who's just joining, we just got off the gondola, and we're at the top of Lake Louise ski area up here, and look at this out there. So a little bit of frost in the sky today, but you're looking in the distance out there to Lake Louise. The scenery is fantastic. I am going to go skiing down with you. I'm not doing a tour at the lake today, but I am going to go down into Yoho Park later today, which is going to be fun. But there is Mount Temple up to the left. I'm not going to do a lot of zooming, everyone, because it's about, minus 25 or minus 27 up here. So every time I take my gloves off, then I get kind of cold. As you can imagine, it's just the fingers. So, but yeah, there is a big cirque valley, as we call it, or if you're from, say, UK, you might call it a hanging valley. But that is a glacier up on the back of it. Now, that's the Victoria Glacier and Victoria Peak up there. Mary Beth has been there with me in both summer and winter, and I have the feeling like she likes the place. Um, it is a pretty neat place to be. And of course, there's the famous chateau. 7 Fahrenheit. Yeah, so minus the official temperature in the valley was minus 18. So up here it's probably minus 27 Celsius. I think that might even be colder than, I think that's probably minus something. I know Robert will check for me because he's brilliant at that. But you're going to see some haze in the distance out here. So there's the Lake Louise gondola coming up. And right out there, that's where I'll be driving. So I'm going to ski for a good couple hours. I have a work call in an hour that I have to deal with. But otherwise, I'm going to ski and enjoy the runs out here. And then I'm going to drive down into that distance down there. Oh, thanks, Robert. And I'll go up over Kicking Horse Pass and down into Yoho. No, Joanna. So I'll tell you very quickly about the history of rats. So the first three governments in Alberta. Alberta became a province in 1905, whereas of course we became a national park in 1885. So so we predate Alberta as a province, which was carved out of the Northwest Territories. First three governments of the Alberta province of Alberta were Liberal. The next three were the United Farmers of Alberta, leading up to the 1930s. Well, they set out, they realized that rats spread disease and were bad for agriculture. So this jurisdiction, Alberta's twice the size of Germany, this jurisdiction set out to eliminate rats, and they did so. People actually worked for the rat patrol. It makes the news if they find rats. They figure they have saved billions of dollars in agriculture. So it is a rat-free environment. That is more than a rock outcrop. That is an actual mountain out behind me. So I'm right up here in amongst tamarack trees. So you see, you've got a Douglas fir, and these other ones are the tamaracks, the one pine tree that changes color. But no, that's a whole other mountain chain. And this is the only time I can kind of show you the back. And that's because if I drop down into that valley, I lose my reception, you see. So that's where, hey, Ken. So, and down over here. So, see how it says enter through gates only? There's a great cornice out here. And do I like to jump off that on my skis? Yes, I do. And you need lots of snow for that. And then there is Mount Temple. That is like 3,400 meters. It's the biggest mountain up in the area through here. So it's pretty spectacular to see. And this is a snow machine, or a snowmobile, ski-doo as we call them, invented by Bombardier. If you're in the UK, you're probably called Bombardier. Harriet is interesting history. By the way, Harriet did a tour yesterday morning, everyone, that I managed to catch the whole tour finally. But it was about Idi Amin, which has always been some history that I found fascinating and tragic, of course. But I think it's probably time, everyone, to do a little ski. I got to do. Oh, Joe, great question. If you just came and bought, actually, let me show you for a second. If you just came and bought a pass for the day, it's like $125. Hey, Renata, nice to see you. I'll show you this is my pass. So I have a midweek pass. So that's good for Monday to Thursday. It's because obviously I live in the valley. That's why I never do these tours on the weekends. My pass cost me about $700 a year. So thank you for your contribution. I was thinking I probably only paid it off today because I haven't skied as much this year, partly because I've been traveling so much, partly because the snow wasn't great at the beginning of the year. So I do want to show you the top up here. This is a run I like to do. Last time I was skiing with you, last Monday, I actually was up the top of that ridge. Yeah, you can use the code and then ski down the back. In fact, I have a friend sent me a message. The person actually, when I was in Newfoundland last year, the person I was teaching with, lived here for years, and so she's coming back. And so we're going to go skiing in a couple of weeks, but she doesn't have a pass for the lake. And I was wondering if she was about Finn's height. Once you bundle up and put on a helmet, I'd let her use Finn's pass. Here are my skis. And so, 178 centimeters. I think I'm like 179 centimeters or something like that. So that's about the ratio. These are called all-mountain skis, and they're ideal for these kind of conditions. Sometimes I actually walk up there. You hike up a little ways, and you get into some fairly fresh snow. But because I'm skiing with all of you, obviously I'm a little bit more careful because I have the gimbal in one hand. So if you are interested in how the equipment works, and this is the downside to skiing because everything's expensive. So I'm clicking in So my skis here, and they're set. I have mine set at quite a tight level because, I ski at a fairly aggressive level. Now, the other thing I need to remember to do right now before I take off is get my goggles back down because it is so cold out here. There is absolutely nothing gained by leaving them up. Otherwise, my face will freeze. And actually, the next helmet I buy, I'd like to get a helmet with a visor on it because these always get a little loosened up. It's always a bit of a challenge. But so, are you ready? In fact, the big question I always like to ask is, do you feel the need? Oh, sorry, gotta switch this around one more time. Do you feel the need? And you say, what need, Mr. Toomey? And I say, the need for speed. So let's head down towards Meadowlark. All right, now, I'm a little worried about this tree right here. Goodness me. Oh, we just made it around. Now, here we go. Look at those views. All right, so here we go. Yippee-yi-yay. Now, look at this. This is lovely down through here. Woo! Now, when you see those stands, we just saw that's for snowmaking. And here is a snow gun. See that? Now, it is chilly because I've just created a wind chill on my body. So I'm not sure how well you can hear me right now. That is little people having lessons, and I don't want to scare them. So, obviously, want to be nice to all the little people in the world because they make our world better. And here we go, zipping around, talking about little people. My little one is off at school today. I think he should just drop out and become a ski bum with his dad, but apparently he's into learning stuff. So now, let's come up here for a second because I don't think I've really given you this perspective. So we are looking down the valley now towards the Trans-Canada Highway. So this is where I will drive later today once I leave here. The light, Chloe, I'm glad the light's coming through nicely. There's a little bit of a haze. I think there's a prescribed burn going on somewhere, but I'm not sure of that. But there is just this little bit of this frost in the air, just an evaporative frost, I think. But down there, way in the distance, that is Kicking Horse Pass. It's the highest point on the Trans-Canada Highway. C'est vrai, Rose, huh? It's the highest point on the Trans-Canada Highway. You drive up for just a few kilometers, and then you're up at about 5,500 feet, I think about 1,600 meters, and then you descend way down Kicking Horse Pass, which is mapped out by the Palliser Expedition, 1857, 1860, 1858. They went down there, and it is, Joanna. But if you were to go down this road a little ways and hang a right, you would actually turn up. Is that right? Well, the story about the kicking horse, Marianne, is that literally a horse kicked Dr. James Hector, who was really the main surveyor of the expedition, and they thought he was dead. And they literally started to dig a grave for him, and they saw his eyes move. So apparently in 1858, people didn't know how to check for a pulse. But yeah, so those horses, that was an awfully tough route through there. No one would have ever believed that trains would have been brought through here, but they chose to build the trains here in the 1860s, well, 1870s, really more to the point. And it was 1883 that they arrived here, and that's to be closer to the U.S. border. Now, from here to the border takes nearly 5 hours drive, 45 minutes back to Banff, and 4 hours down south. So we're still a long way, but there's the little village of Lake Louise, which is the highest permanent village in Canada, and that was called Lagan Station. And then, of course, Tom Wilson was the first non-Indigenous person to see Lake Louise, which is the Tiramnone, or the Lake of the Little Fish, and he was showed it by Samson Beaver, his great guide. I just want to talk about these trees for a minute, if you don't mind. This is a giant white bark pine. These are gorgeous trees, and they have big cones on them, and this is what the Clark's Nutcracker goes and eats out of, for example. So it's really a fabulous tree. It is pretty, and I'm still quite a ways up. So I just making sure there's no little people. Now let's go down a few more turns, everyone. Come on, let's go. Here we go. Yeehaw! Yeah, hopefully the movement doesn't bother you too much. Just so much fun when you feel the need. And that's the need for speed. Now, when I come over a little crest like this, I always have a look, see if there's anyone there. And again, if someone's a novice skier, it's not their fault. Oh, now there's nobody on the other chair. You want to do one ride up a chair with me, everyone? Let me know, because it's going to be pretty quick. Let me come up here. All right, let's go for a ride. So I'm just going to sneak in past everyone here for a second. Let's see if I can get on a chair by myself here. You can't really look. So you have young people from all over the world coming and working at the ski hill. How's it going? Morning. It is 9:47 in the morning. Let me just. Wait a minute. There we go. Oh, excuse me, everyone. I was being a little silly. Woo-hoo, is it your first one ski? Sorry, I was just putting my poles under my legs. So I am on the top of the world chair here. It's your first time skiing. What we're going to do, so we're going to go a little over time today, but we're going to go all the way. It is good to be silly. I don't know where we saw that, but we're going to go straight to the top here, and then we'll ski all the way up and down. Well, Kathy, if it's your first time skiing, so I've been skiing since I think I was 6 years old. When I'm alone, Joe, that's a great question. Let me just come back to the learning. So my son, Finn, has been skiing since he was 3. The only mistake I made with that, I'm just starting to give you these views behind me here. The only mistake I made with that was that I let him ski between my legs in the early days. The problem with that is he got used to going fast, right? And you don't really, then he had to learn to do it on his own. Yeah, I just want to turn this around again. I think the views behind me are even more impressive, but this is a little gully down here. Oops, come on, turn, there you go. You see the shadow of the chair going up this gully. There's the summit up top. But the top speed, Joe, so people are, when you watch the World Cup downhill, it starts up there. They go to the bottom in about 2.5 minutes. I mean, that's how crazy fast they're going. They will be, a bunch of okay, thanks, Robert. I probably, when I'm skiing with all of you, I still am getting up to probably 60 kilometers an hour, whatever that is, 40 miles an hour, something like that. And I just don't tend to go off the groomed runs. Now, Europeans talk about, I guess British use this term, pieced off, piece on, piece. We don't use that. I mean, this is what we call a gladed area down through here. To see how there's got these little bamboo sticks? Those bamboo sticks are telling you that's a sensitive area to stay away from it. And that's mostly white bark pine that they're trying to encourage. We're going to get right up to the tree line up here. So basically, the whole area is in bounds. Now, what is amazing to people who come from the skiing world is they, obviously if you're over in Europe or some of the big resorts in the States, the numbers are massive. And even Whistler, and I took you all to Whistler once skiing and several times in the summertime. But Whistler is the biggest resort in North America, but huge crowds. Now, on the weekends, it's busy, but you see what my lineup was? Like, I just skied more or less straight onto the lift. The trade-off when you're here is you're dealing with the cold, right? We get the best snow in the world, the champagne powder, as they call it, but it really does get very, very cold, and I can feel it. Like, I'm getting a wind chill going up at the moment. So that lift up there, the summit, was a single person lift for a long time. And they switched it 2 years ago, and then everyone complained because people don't like change, but actually it's great. My favorite place to ski on this mountain is straight down the back of that peak there, or out to the West Pole, out to the left, but I don't have reception either of those places. There's the road up the Icefields Parkway. What's the temperature there, Mary Lou and Calgary? But now it is, say, up top here. I wish there was a temperature now. I know they do actually have one on that chair over there, but it's inside their little hut, so it'll probably say minus 18. But we're going to go to the top here. What do you think, everyone? Do you want to try and ski from the very top to the very bottom without stopping? So we give you a sense of, I'm not going to go up the summit chair just because it's a bit of a hassle. So I'll get myself kind of ready here. There's my poles. Um, and why don't we go for a big long cruise? Um, and the only way I'll stop is if, well, if I wipe out, of course, but if the gimbal starts to malfunction. But look at the views we're going to have up in the distance here. So there's Boomerang out of the back. So sometimes I ski over to there and then hike up to that peak. And I do that as much for the exercise as anything else. It's 9:52. I know my buddy John has a tour right on it, right after, so I don't want to run much over time. And look at that view back there, ladies and gentlemen. That is the Canadian Rockies in all their glory. I'm right in the inner ranges. And then when I get down to field later on today, Bernardi is gorgeous, isn't it? And I have been, so, you know, I once wrote a book about skiing in Canada. I have skied here my whole life, and I still let it take my breath away. And I do feel very much like this is the place for me to live because it's it's hard to live here, and so it's important to really love it. So I am there, whereas I thought I was here. So I had gone up the Grizzly Express chair, and then I came down and I got up top of the world. So if there's no more questions, because I can't see very well for all the safety point of view, sorry. Um, and let's start to head down on home run, shall we? Actually, I'll give you one more postcard up here because we'll get down a long way. Now, when you get enough snow, we can jump over this fence, by the way, which is pretty wicked. I watched a guy a couple of years ago, we had huge snow, do a double backflip off that fence there and not landed. Leonie, hey, hello there, young lady. Nice to have you back here. Because Leonie's here, I just wanted to mention I was going to talk about not quite, well, I am going to talk about cats because Leonie's such a cat person. But down in here, we have a family of lynx that live. I haven't seen them this year, but they are here. They live on the side of this mountain and they hunt here all winter. So it's, and they are the most beautiful animals, of course. Their legs are longer than you'd think for their body size, and their paws are huge because they walk on top of the snow a bit like snowshoes. It is Jay's birthday, Leonie. So, ready, everyone? Here we're going to go top to bottom. Ready? Is everyone ready? Because it is time to let it fly, mesdames et messieurs. On va y aller. Here we go. All right. So, there's once again, large out the distance. The next section is where we're going to go on our fastest part. So we do one little jump just for fun. Woohoo! Now, and here's another jump. Yeah! Here we go. Now I'm probably doing 65 after we get some genuine speed. And you just let the mouth absorb it from us. Now I'm going to watch carefully here. Okay, there was nobody there. Now, lovely groomed runs, but boy, oh boy, is it cold out here. So I feel the breeze, but not on my knees because I'm well dressed. I'm not that amazing. This is where the old lift used to be, and this is where the World Cup downhill comes down. But it's at risk now of not coming back next year because of cost, which is really sad. Now this view, if we come around here, is just so spectacular. And whilst I'm skiing along, I'm also pulling up my face mask a little bit because it's really cold. But let's do some big turns, shall we? Some big, nice, sweeping mountain turns. All right. So we're not going to go to that chair this time. This is the downhill. This is the World Cup downhill down to the right. That's in November, so we have snow So much earlier than so, almost feel like we should be singing again. Oh, I turned on Juniper. Have a little look here. All right, so we're taking a different run than we normally do. But there is Temple Mountain up above us. Uh-oh, statement about my processing on a Monday morning. There we go. Ooh, there's some people. And this gets to be a pretty busy corner down through here. There we go. Oh, they're racing. See that? He has the bent poles, and they curve around the wind resistance. So, now, I'm very upset these people are passing me. I'm not. Oh, boy, my nose is cold. So I just watch everyone go by here. So, there is. Oh, we got a snowboard just fell down. It's getting a bit crowded. So I'm reining in my speed a little bit. Yeah, that's a whole racing group that has just gone past us. Now, it's a little chilly, everyone. I'm not sure if my nose is going to be quite yet. Oh, bummer, the jumps aren't open. I was going to give you a double backflip, but I guess I'll have to do that another day. All right, the lodge of the 10 peaks down below us here. There we go. And, oh, see, someone, newer skiers always get a little wider because you don't want to make people scared. Oh, that's a little chilly, but if it were with meat, it would be chili con carne. But there we are, just zipping through. Little ski school there. That's like the school of hard knocks when you fall down. And all of a sudden, just like that, we have made it from top to bottom. Private lessons meet there.